Kuzampla and welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Cheku. First, the top stories. More than 25,000 people apply for the Drukgyalpo's relief kitu. The Home Minister resigns from the post as well as Member of Parliament. And the High Court dissolves its larger bench to expedite justice delivery. And now the details. More than 25,000 people have applied for the relief kitu. On 22nd April, the Prime Minister announced His Majesty the King's command to extend the Drukgyalpo's relief kitu for another 15 months. Over 19,000 applications are for the monthly income support, while more than 7,000 have registered for the loan interest payment support. The beneficiaries of the past 1 year are required to reapply if they continue to face difficulties because of the pandemic. All eligible applicants will receive the kitu. The applications are open on a 3-month cycle to provide flexibility when applying for the kitu. Applicants have been asked to visit the Drukgyalpo's Relief Kitu website at www.royalkitu.pt for details. The Health Ministry decided to provide the mobile flu clinic service permanently in Thimphu and Phuntsholling. This is to step up the COVID-19 surveillance system amid the worsening situations in the neighboring countries. The mobile flu clinic initially started as a pilot project during the second lockdown. It tests people for COVID infections along with tuberculosis, HIV, hepatitis, syphilis, malaria and dengue.
The mobile flu clinic service will be available at 30 places in Thimphu. There will be 3 teams with 1 allocated for the north, 1 for central and 1 for the southern part of Thimphu. The program is aimed to improve accessibility and ensure coverage with flu clinic services for people residing in the outskirts of the city.
The primary objective of this introducing this mobile flu clinic is to enhance the surveillance and testing capacity in the country. As you know that now the number of cases are rising in the in our neighboring countries, and even in the Nepal the similar situation has come up. So in order for us to so that we can detect the COVID cases as early as possible.
The program is also being permanently started in Phuntsholling. It will be expanded to Gyelephu in the next phase, followed by Samdrup Jongkhar and Samchi, according to the feasibility and number of patient turnover at the mobile flu clinics.
In the mobile flu clinic, those who are having the signs and symptoms of the flu or COVID-19 symptoms, so they are given the priority. Along with that, we are also testing for the TB and HIV, and if it is in the south, because we have established in the Phuntsholling also.
With COVID safety protocols in practice, people can visit the mobile flu clinic in accordance to the schedule given at the MOH website.
There are many benefits of the mobile flu clinic. They not only test for COVID but also other diseases like AIDS. We don't have to take the trouble of finding taxis. Likewise, in the hospitals we have to wait in queue, whereas here it takes only 30 minutes.
Besides COVID-19, there are more dangerous and severe diseases through sexually transmitted disease, STDs, and back of the mind they might have forgotten because of the COVID-19. Minister of Health coming up with such initiative on coming up with this mobile clinic and doing all these STD checkups is also a very wise initiative.
So far, about 6,000 people have gotten tested for COVID-19 through the mobile flu clinic. 7 positive cases were detected among them. Almost 1,000 people have also gotten tested for STDs, while 40 got tested for TB. Kinzang Haden for BBS News.
The National COVID-19 Task Force is reviewing the quarantine facility management protocol after some staff of hotels used as quarantine facilities tested positive for COVID-19 recently. During the Meet the Press session last week, the Prime Minister said the National Task Force also decided to deploy additional police personnel at the quarantine centres for strict monitoring.
On 28th April, 3 staff from a hotel used as quarantine facility in Thimphu tested positive for COVID-19. And it was found that one of them violated quarantine protocol and sneaked out of the hotel thrice. Similarly, 3 days ago, a staff from a quarantine facility in Sanupjonkar tested positive. The man left the hotel and allegedly visited his child at Karmaling High Secondary School in Sanupcholing, Tongkak. Apart from these 2 cases, 6 frontline workers serving at quarantine facilities in Phinsuling also tested positive for COVID-19 since recently. It was learned some foreign labourers quarantined in the hotels they were posted at had tested positive. For now, although all their contacts tested negative, the incidents had the public and the netizens questioning the Health Ministry's standard operating procedure and quarantine facility management protocols. The Health Minister said this is a result of pandemic fatigue and complacency as the pandemic prolongs. Nevertheless, taking caution from such incidents, she said the National COVID-19 Task Force is reviewing every quarantine management protocol.
We have had series of consultation with the stakeholders, police, DSOP, health, and really figuring out how best we can enhance the existing protocol and really continuously monitor the implementation within the quarantine facilities as well. So it's not like we don't have SOP. We do have a SOP. I think it's with having an SOP and the implementation. There's always sometimes gaps in implementation, which now we are again reviewing it and seeing how best we can address these.
It was yesterday's National Task Force meeting that this reviewed protocol for people who are attending the quarantine facilities were submitted. Semi-strict we even added up some extra police force, RBP personals to monitor the quarantine facility managers, so that we are now having 2 layers. One group of the quarantine facility managers will manage the facility, and then we have additional layer of police now to manage the whole facility. So that we don't take chance on human errors and complacency, which is natural with all human beings.
The Health Minister said, considering the COVID-19 situation in the region, the government has taken adequate measures. However, she reminded everyone that the responsibility falls on individuals as well. After all, no one is safe until all of us are safe. Phupkem for BBS News.
Dasha Sherpa Gelson formally stepped down as a minister as well as a member of parliament. The Prime Minister and the Speaker of the National Assembly accepted his resignation letter on 6th May.
The Prime Minister's office described the moment as solemn as the former Home and Cultural Affairs Minister made his final call on to the Prime Minister this morning. Later at the Speaker's office, on behalf of the Parliament of Bhutan, the Speaker thanked Dasha Sherpa Gelson for his service to the people as the Member of Parliament for the last 2.5 years. He served as the MP for Mongar constituency. Dasha Sherpa Gelson submitted his resignation letter to the Speaker recently after submitting the same to the Prime Minister last month. The erstwhile larger bench of the High Court convicted Dasha Sherpa Gelson to 2 months in prison for claiming false vehicle insurance. The crime reportedly happened in 2016. For now, the former minister has appealed to the Supreme Court. As per Section 20 of the National Assembly Act, the Mongar and Nganglam constituencies have been declared vacant. According to the National Assembly, the Speaker already issued a writ to the Election Commission to fill the seats. The Nganglam constituency remained vacant after its MP died last month. Sringzam, BBS News.
The World Press Freedom Index 2021 ranked Bhutan 65th out of 180 countries. It is up by 2 places from last year. It means the press freedom situation has improved, but the country is still identified orange, which means the media operate in a problematic environment. The World Press Freedom Index is evaluated based on media independence, transparency, respect for safety and freedom of journalists and the environment where they operate.
The 2021 World Press Freedom Index, compiled by a France-based organization, Reporters Without Borders, say that self-censorship is a major inhibitor in the freedom of the press in Bhutan. Coinciding with the World Press Freedom Day today, the Journalists Association of Bhutan also launched the Bhutan Press Mirror Journal. It also highlighted the difficulty in getting access to information.
Access to information is still one of the major challenges we are facing today. If you go to field also, we have so many bureaucratic process and where we need to seek permission. So this way our reporters are reluctant to go to the field. Without information, people will not know. So our duty is to inform the nation, inform the people.
He also said that the major problem lies in the bureaucratic sector that has devised more ways to delay access to information, discouraging many from pursuing impactful stories. Meanwhile, many journalists in the print media said the freedom of the press is poor in the country, although the constitution guarantees it.
A lot of people feel uncomfortable talking to young reporters, especially if they feel that they might misquote or make mistakes. I think what matters to us is access to information and timely information, especially when you work in a daily newspaper. I think that is important. I think there is a flaw in the system where, for example, if you want to talk to bureaucrats, who actually has the information, the details, the facts, the figures, and I think the system doesn't allow them to be as open as the elected leaders.
However, the Prime Minister, Dr. Lote Sring, said that the government will support all forms of media in Bhutan, provided journalists report correct news. The Prime Minister also said he will consult the Royal Civil Service Commission to ease the journalists' access to the information, given the Commission's apolitical status. However, the media fraternity needs to submit a concrete proposal. Today in Bhutan, many reporters seek permission or send prepared questions before they get an interview. This is Sringdandup, BBS News.
The police registered a case against the National Housing Development Corporation after a falling streetlight pole hit a woman in the Chajiji housing colony in Thimphu a few weeks ago. The victim filed the case since the corporation looks after the colony. She was discharged from the hospital recently and has been using a wheelchair to move around.
This CCTV footage captures the moment the 58-year-old woman is hit by the falling pole. The footage went viral on social media. The pole fell due to strong winds. She is then immediately helped by the passers-by and taken to the hospital. The husband said her legs were fractured and underwent surgery. She also had an injury on her head. Had the concerned authority constantly monitored and carried out maintenance, her husband says the incident could have been avoided.
This is the incident is another example of how the public service agencies are able to in fact get away with their failures. And I think in this context the victim should in fact file and find legal means to in fact fix the accountability of the public service agencies. And one of the ways is to of course file criminal cases. There is a provision under the Penal Code of Bhutan where appropriate compensations can be sought.
He added that they could even file a civil suit.
One can file a case, and including mental trauma that person would go through, the physical injuries that person has suffered, the medical expenditure. When we see medical expenditure, a lot of people think that we have free medicines, but what about transporting them to the hospitals, the attendance that they have to stay there, the economic loss that the person has to.
When BBS visited the Chajiji housing colony area, some more streetlight poles are rusted. The National Housing Development Corporation has no comments. Sringzam, BBS News.
Litigants dissatisfied with the High Court's judgment can directly appeal to the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice of Bhutan, through an internal order, dissolved the larger bench of the High Court on 5th May. The reform is to mainly accelerate the delivery of justice.
Until now, a litigant dissatisfied with the High Court's judgment had to appeal to the larger bench before moving the Supreme Court. And according to the Registrar General of the Supreme Court, in most cases, the judgment passed by the High Court are rarely altered by the larger bench. This delays justice not just for the case concerned, but others as well, which are in the High Court or the larger bench.
Judges of the High Court, justices of the High Court, they not only have to deal their own individual case assigned to them, they also have to sit together, except the judge who has dealt the first appeal case, when they have to sit both for the larger bench as well as for their own individual bench, the case takes time. Thus, it only costs the litigants, and it only delays and serves as a constriction or obstacle to the justice than to the benefit and advantages of the litigants.
As per the Civil and Criminal Procedure Code of Bhutan, the structure of the courts shall be Supreme Court, High Court, Dzongkhap Courts, and Tungkhap Courts. The larger bench of the High Court was established during the term of the former Chief Justice.
This larger bench was established when there was no Supreme Court, in line with the Yongti. We call Yongti, there's full bench, High Court. In High Court, there's a full bench. There is more or less the appeal from the High Court. But now, when we have already established Supreme Court, the larger bench or the Yongti has become redundant.
Currently, there are around 400 cases with the larger bench. As per the order, the hearings for these cases should be expedited. Sringzam, BBS News.
People continue to fall victim to phishing scams. Last month, as per the records with the banks, scammers reportedly lured more than 20 individuals and transferred over 1.7 million ngutum. While some of them got their money back, others are still tracing with the help of the banks concerned.
A recent victim who refused to come on camera shared that he received a call from an individual claiming to be a staff of Bank of Bhutan. The person asked for his BOB account and citizenship identity numbers. He said, assuming the information was to update bank details, he obliged. After a while, his money in the BOB account kept debiting, and that's when he thought something was wrong. By then, he had lost more than 500,000 ngutum. Another man said he was lured through an anonymous friend request he accepted on Facebook.
Friend requesting hoiba, tele ngegi accept tele khodi sigi voice call tandeva langalo, tele ngai voice call tamigale khodi sigi ngai contact number leivala, tele contact number lemchi, tele khodi sigi WhatsApp ngalo call chapchiba, tele ko WhatsApp na call chapda khodi sigi ngalo call chapre ngalo anime labdeva, ngachi Facebook na 425 charo amchi joi ngegi charo, tele amchi na first price ti chegi thopnu sula bengal lapchiba, tele che first thopnu 5 lakhs, tele chegi contact number da ani account number ani ka number na silabde langalo tele ngai gahara jima ngai di in sin nodi khodi chilo gahara ji ani mela tele gahara jimchi khogi 58000 gahara ngai bayasun la khodi sigi.
He added the scammer was very convincing that he did not think it would be some kind of a scam.
Ngai tiro gahara basim ledi ngai daru pha culture be diwala ngai tiro di gahara bayase ghati be mate labda phale labde ya bhutangi ani bengi gara ani chegi tiru blacki na gachina ani check chapdo dele daru chilo ani account na chegi 5 lakhs 58000 di logdira yale chu chelapte.
The stories with other victims are no different. The most common method is receiving calls from unknown numbers on social media apps saying the receiver won a lottery. The scammers then ask for a one-time password or OTP to gain access to the victim's email, bank or other accounts. One of the bank officials demonstrated how sharing the OTP with someone else provides access to one's bank accounts.
To log in my MBOP from a different device, I need to download the MBOP in that new device, and I need to know 3 things: account number, MPIN, and I need to reset IMEI of the mobile. So I can get the user ID using my account number and CID. So once I get the user ID, that has been authenticated by the OTP. Thereafter, I can get the MPIN using my mobile number CID and account number. So once I get OTP, then I can log into the MBOP app. But prior to fully controlling the MBOP app, I have need to reset my IMEI of that device. So that is also I can do using my OTP.
To prevent such scams hereafter, the Bhutan National Bank disabled the resetting of password or MPIN for its mobile banking app. Similarly, the Bank of Bhutan disabled IMEI, which is an international mobile equipment identity available in its banking app, MBOP. Unlike in the past, after downloading a banking app in a new phone, customers will now have to personally visit the banks concerned to reset their password. The Bhutan Computer Incident Response Team, whose mission is to enhance cyber security, said the only way to avoid such scams is to refrain from responding to calls, emails or text messages indicating that one won a lottery in which the person has not participated. Gelson Chodden for BBS News.
Most local entrepreneurs operating small and cottage industries still struggle to thrive in the Bhutanese market. And this is due to the economy being largely import-driven. High production costs, limited human capacity and lack of a bigger market are some of the challenges entrepreneurs are facing today. To help address the issues to some scale, the Department of Cottage and Small Industries is taking a group of local entrepreneurs on product promotion programs across the country.
The group was recently at Bhutan. They met with local shopkeepers and businessmen. Besides marketing their products, they also shared the challenges new startups face in a market that is heavily influenced by relatively cheaper and imported products.
Bhutanese have become so accustomed to using imported products, and it is very difficult for smaller firms like ours to penetrate the market. Though the government has been providing immense support in terms of improving the quality of our products, marketing and budgeting, we need a lot of support from the consumers. There must be a paradigm shift in the way people see local products.
Local products such as the Dunagu cookies, Cheche sanitary pads, Druk PC and others play an important role in building the brand and identity of a country's manufacturing sector. Moreover, the pandemic has taught everyone a lesson that having adequate local products in the market is really important, especially when import of goods become very inconvenient.
As the interest rate for business loans and labor charges are comparatively higher in Bhutan, our production cost increases. That way we have to sell our products at higher rates. This is why people prefer cheaper imported goods.
The CSI sector is given high priority in the 12th five-year plan. The government allocated 1.2 billion yutum for the startup and CSI flagship program.
The startups and CSIs mostly struggle when they initially set up their firms, so we help them by building new infrastructures for them. We also ensure access to finance by supporting them in availing loans, and moreover the government also provides them tax subsidy when they bring in raw materials and machinery to establish their plants.
However, entrepreneurs say there are still more that needs to be done.
It would really benefit the next generation of entrepreneurs if the education system in the country introduces entrepreneurship course right from the lower classes, because by the time they are of our age, they would have learned all the fundamentals. In our case, we have just been into business for about 3 years and we are still struggling.
Even though some of the local entrepreneurs come up with good quality products, we struggle to get market access in foreign countries. So it would benefit us if the Economic Affairs Ministry and the Bhutan Chamber of Commerce and Industry explore ways for us to export our products in the international and regional markets.
Despite the challenges, there are over 2,500 manufacturing and production, cottage and small industries in the country as of June last year. Through the flagship program, the government aims to reduce import and expand export base by supporting the growth of startups and CSIs in the country. For Kipcho in Bumtang, Sangishizom for BBS News.
And that's all in this edition of our News Magazine program. Until next time, I'm Cheku, signing off. Only for now.
Thank you.